3, 2, 1. Podcast. What is it? What is podcast short for? I actually don't know that. Do you know what that's for? How to? Because we had an idea before.
Portable broadcast.
Is that what it is?
Maybe.
Portable I don't know. Google that.
I don't know. That was complete guess. Could be right.
Because think about. I mean,
broadcast.
Generically netcast. An episodic series of digital audio or video files which a user can download in order to listen to. That comes from Wikipedia, which means probably not true.
I think my definition was better.
Yeah, I think
portable broadcast.
Because before we started recording, we were talking about a different type of cast. Called it a poo cast. We're all just sitting on toilets facing each other.
But you gotta eat really nasty.
Yeah, the whole concept is you.
And it's kind of like it's almost like what we do in a wrestling match, like a surrender match. You just like if someone can quit, but you all gotta sit in there and smell each other's poo. And then if you can withstand it, then you can stay on the podcast.
Yeah, but we call it a poo cast.
When we all go to India, we all go to Delhi. We all eat out.
And you have to
drink
face
from
each
the
other.
tap. Drink from the tap. First to poo loses.
Yeah.
Or you could do like specialty podcasts where you just take laxatives and then there's like you do like all right, no flush for 15 minutes. Like you can't do courtesy flushes, so you just sit. I'm all about that.
Well, finally starting it. How long have we been talking about this?
I mean,
3 months?
We did one in Greece in an airport, and that was in May.
We had talked about because
My camera shut off.
I still haven't quite figured out what the name is going to be. Oh my gosh, it's really bad. I gotta stop picking with scabs.
Nah, keep it going.
This is why the pick and puss does not work for wounds.
Keep it going. You guys are going to learn a lot of pseudoscience on this podcast today, probably, especially the pick and puss method, which is something Matt and I have been actually didn't even know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we'll do introductions in a sec. But like Drew was saying, we had tried to start a podcast about 7 months ago. We did one episode. That podcast was actually going to be called Airlines, Not Hairlines, but I wasn't as bald as I am becoming. Drew's already accepted that fate. I haven't. I'm still kind of fighting. It's not a...
It's kind of like you're fighting a good fight. It's a fight you're not going to win.
You're not going to win it. Well, that's why you should shave your head, because it's like...
I'm
the author of my own destiny. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta avoid pools and water because that doesn't.
It's like I got this old saying: you can't be balding if you shave your head. Yeah, see,
it makes sense if you don't think about it. So tried. This is the retry of that. Trying out using one of our cameras and using this podcast app. Don't know if this audio is going to be good. No idea. We don't really know what we're doing, but we're just kind of doing it. Better done than perfect type of mentality. So start off introductions. My name is Matt. This may be the Matt and Lena podcast. We don't know. We might have a little brainstorm session about that because I feel like there's got to be a better. I don't want to just because like Joe Rogan can do that, but he also gets
200 million downloads every single month.
Yeah.
Yeah, but think about all the other stupid names of podcasts people have. Like, I love Chris Elias. Congratulations. What does that even mean? It's like people are just like, oh, I gotta come up with a name. Or Joey Diaz, the Church of What's Happening Now. Yeah. I'm like, what? Oh. What does that even mean?
Oh.
The closest one I'll be respectable to is Theo Vaughn's This Past Weekend, where he's like, yeah, I talk about what happened this past weekend. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. A little bit more. But he doesn't. He talks about everything.
I was thinking maybe I'd do a podcast and call it Things and Stuff. I know you had an idea. You had a similar idea.
Stuff and Things. Because he talked about stuff.
Yeah, but I want to talk about things and then stuff. Yeah. So it's a difference.
It's similar.
Similar but different.
Yeah, so I think, just more generic name. Because then you kind of corner your... Like the Fighter and the Kid, not bad because it's a guy who was a fighter. And then I don't know why they call Brian Callen the Kid because he's like 50. But it's like two people.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Which Jake is our guest today, which we'll do some more introductions here soon. But Drew is probably going to be on this podcast a lot. So get used to his Vin Diesel looking face. But
we're doing that too, aren't we?
Overall,
we're doing the camera.
Oh, got it. You got to put it on YouTube. So. This is
it's Kimono podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
we can wear. Hey,
I was
wait.
thinking of like kimonos and cowboys and kimonos. You wear cowboy hats and kimonos.
We could do that. We both
And they go, "Why do you call it that?" You go, "Because that's what you wear."
like that's what we wear.
It's kind of like the poo cast. Yeah, where it's like you pooping.
Yeah.
Easy.
It's very. You want the podcast name to be representative of what's actually happening in the podcast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah, not like just some vague name. Congratulations, Chris D'Elia. Jump off bridge.
Hey,
Congratulations for what?
Hey, change it.
Change that.
Change it. Don't like the name, change it.
Alright, I need to get water because I forgot to do that before this, so you guys just keep doing what you're doing.
Well, we're going to start. I don't know if this is going to be a ceremonial thing, but I travel with a French press because I'm a coffee snob. And
Oh, you're traveling? Or
maybe we should.
you're not in your living room or where?
Yeah, we're going to do introductions. You gotta let it
You're
build.
trying to get in.
No, you gotta let it build, bro. You gotta see it. I'm thinking this is a ceremonial thing. Like we have coffee on the podcast, and it's a ceremonial plunge. That could also be a thing for the Poopcast.
It's like the H3H3 podcast where they take a bong with it.
Yeah, this is our.
It's like tobacco.
It's like one of those things in life. It's like, what do you want to be remembered for? So, like, you can be remembered for doing something. Like, have you guys heard of Jamie Alderton from the UK? Jamie Alderton ran 24 hours backwards and raised £21,000. He ran backwards for 24 hours. You, Matt, you can be remembered for providing good coffee on your podcast.
Yeah.
It's true. You come. Hey, if you come to be a guest on my podcast,
ran backwards 24 hours.
Do you know he's next year?
You know what I have to say about that? Turn around.
Why are you running?
Running backwards.
Because running
I
forwards
don't
for
know.
24 hours obviously is too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freak
Also-
of nature, man.
Also,
Hey, you're both gentlemen and scholars. Thanks for being on the podcast, episode 1.
Oh,
We're excited for the dead.
We have a Brit. Pinkies up. Pinkies up. We have a Brit.
Oh gosh, that's hot.
it was hot.
Yeah.
I think mine's supposed to be poured.
Yeah, we're gonna.
We can't give it a straight on coffee.
Yeah.
Straight down.
So introductions. Drew, where are you from? Name.
You're supposed to.
Your favorite
You're supposed to
animal that's alive.
I feel like you know how to you're
that
supposed to know the guests before they come on.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it's also kind of like people like talking about themselves. So.
No.
No. I would personally.
Okay, well, so
his
his name is Drew Etherton. He hails from the second best city in Nebraska, Lincoln.
No, biggest.
Second best city. It's not the best. It would be.
Capital.
Why do so many people live in Omaha? Next question. So Drew,
Close to Iowa?
we'll get a little
doesn't
bit
make sense.
into his background a little bit more as we talk about today's discussion, which is why we have Jake on the podcast today. Hailing from the UK, Manchester.
He's a city boy. Man City, go Blues.
Man United. Man United.
His background is in fitness and health, nutrition. We've been talking a lot about. I know we're this is a respectable.
I didn't say it. I had something to say there.
It'll come out.
This is a respectable podcast. Cowboys and kimonos, C and K.
Yeah.
But
Are we strictly ignoring Bumble notifications for this podcast?
yes, no bumble.
Okay.
No slut.
I mean,
It depends. If she's
yeah, I would
if a criminal didn't
just wait till like we start going on something, and then you just kind of because we also don't have any plans for the evening, so
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
We were lonely on Valentine's Day as well.
Yeah. Which we are. We're currently in Colombo, Sri Lanka. So this is where the podcast isn't going to really have a home location. So this isn't going to be a stationary thing because we're not what you call professionals, but we move around. So Jake's here today. We're talking fitness, talking health. Kind of a overall just broad topic. We've been listening to a lot of new podcasts, a lot of new material. A lot of things have been coming up discussion-wise. Kind of his take, our take. Drew, why you getting your phone already, bro? We're not even
sorry.
10 minutes in.
Sorry.
We're
Bored already.
gonna talk. You were a collegiate athlete, and you have. Drew's been denying the fact that he was in shape at one point and ate. Okay, I can't say ate healthy, but
she was just
used to diet.
Should we just clarify the 2 meals Drew has had today?
Yeah.
Do you want to just tell them the restaurant?
Well, first off, before these guys get on their high horse and act all saintly, we just came from McDonald's.
You just came from McDonald's.
No,
Twice.
Twice. I had it twice today. I'm proud of it. Okay? You guys are like, let's do a fitness podcast. I'm like, we're literally at McDonald's.
That's okay. Hey, we'll talk about cheat meals.
Someone like equilibrium. We've like restored balance.
Yeah.
We talk about fitness to get rid of the fact that we had a McDonald's.
Yeah. It's kind of a universe thing, energy thing.
It's okay.
So Jake, I don't know all of your qualifications. How long have you been in the fitness field? How long have you been doing consulting type work, things like that?
So I first got into PTing when I came back from traveling. So like 2017, me and 6 friends went traveling to Asia from January through to June. And I kind of knew before that, the whole reason why I kind of got into it is I kind of pushed myself into a corner, and I don't actually think you guys know this. So when I was going
wait. Are we about to get... Was Jake a fat baby?
Was he fat?
Was he a fat baby?
I was a fat baby.
I love when people I know
Dude, I was a fat baby.
Luckily, I was never a fat baby now.
Okay. All right.
So going through school, didn't really do much at school. I kind of had the potential. Like, say this is like your limit. I kind of cruise around this point here, just kind of swimming below the surface. That was me.
In what, like the areas of fitness or like the areas of just everything?
Kind of just everything. I was never really that good at anything. I just never really applied myself to anything. Like, I enjoyed a lot of stuff, but just typically never really applied. So, and then once I got probably to like age 15, 16, realised I kind of liked fitness and what it kind of gave me. So I thought, well, I kind of had blown the school thing off where I didn't really have it as a backup. So I thought, this is what I enjoy, this is what I'm good at, so this is kind of the route I kind of have to take. So it was almost like I pushed myself to that, which isn't a bad thing. It kind of just meant I had to go feet first. I couldn't really test the water, I kind of just had to go straight in with it. And then whilst I was traveling, I was kind of getting into it, kind of like knowing I wanted to be a PT. And then when I came back in June, had about a month at home working, and then went straight into it from there.
And what were you doing before it?
So before it was just straight from school, did a gap year, and then went straight into PTing after that.
But what job were you, like, did you have previously fitness related
jobs? Were you like
jobs?
a cabana boy? Or did you at all the day clubs in Manchester?
In Manchester? Yeah, we don't really have the beaches in Manchester you're used to. Job-wise, it was more just part-time jobs, because I started when I was 19, so there wasn't really ever a time, because in the UK it's kind of a big culture to do your like middle school to where you're like 16, do sixth form where you're 17, 18, and then you either go into work, go to uni, or you go on a gap year. They're like the 3 things which people do. It's like a big culture to do a gap year. So I came back and then pretty much just went straight into it from there. And then that was 18 months ago, and here we are today.
Yeah, what were your part-time jobs?
Oh geez, wow. Start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Used to first one ever. Used to clean for my grandma. An hour every Sunday, £10. She made me some ham on crackers. She made me. I basically didn't really do much. I think
some perks with it.
I think she probably had to re-clean after me. It was that bad. She's like, oh my god, Jake, it looks so clean. No, it was shit all the time. It was so terrible. And I think she was too nice. So we had that, and then we did like a paper round, which was like £20 a week. That's where it was about 15 again. Then I worked at a place called Red House Farm. We did like children's birthday parties. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, you told me about that.
Yeah.
What?
We had like bouncy slides. There's like a barrel train.
You rent stuff out like for parties and stuff.
No. So like people, so we were at this place called Red House Farm, and then people come there for the kids' birthday parties, and we run the parties for them. So we'll put them on bouncy slides, put them in these little barrels with the wheels on, and the tractor drags them around the field and stuff. Like have like this thing called the maze, where it's like a maze made of maize. It's really good fun. Climbing wall.
Oh, like corn.
Yeah, the M-I.
We don't need that Native American word. Corn.
What do you call it? Corn. I mean, corn maze doesn't sound quite as good as maze.
Yeah,
we call it corn.
Maze is how they say it.
Maize.
Maize.
So yeah, we did Red House Farm, and then I worked in a bar for a bit, which was good fun. Enjoyed that, and then worked in a call center, which was.
Were you a bartender?
Yeah, I was making the cocktails, you know.
Making Craigies.
Craigie Davis.
I hadn't actually discovered a Craig David at that time. No, I didn't know what Craigie was. I know. For anyone listening who doesn't know what Craig David is, 2 shots, 1 of tequila, 1 of pineapple juice. So you can sip of the pineapple juice, hold it in your mouth, like just cradle it. Shot tequila, swallow, gulp the pineapple juice.
Hold it in your mouth.
These 2 don't like tequila, and they do like Craigies.
Yeah, I can do Craigies. If I smell tequila, I throw it.
And Craigies, you've got Craigies and shit.
I can do 1 or 2 of those.
Craigies. And then it's probably the worst job I ever did was working in a call centre. That was like one of the most soul-crushing 3 months of my life. Like selling.
What are you selling?
Like selling, not selling PPI, it was like a PPI recovery, so payment protection insurance. Like years ago, banks and like mortgage companies would like tax on PPI to people, and then we would essentially be like, oh, we'll claim it back for you, and it was the worst thing. A lot of my mates did it before we went travelling because it was quite well paid at the time, but it was the most depressing thing in the world.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I come from sales, and
it would just
cold calling is like the worst. Like, here's a sheet, call 300 people.
Oh, good morning, sir. Eat shit. Yeah, it's great talking to you. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
You're reading off of a paper, and you're just like.
The thing I don't understand is people won't give you their email address, or they won't give you their date of birth. I'm like, okay, email address, fine. I can put you on a list, whatever. Your date of birth. They'll be like, okay, here's my address, here's this, here's that. Oh, so what's your date of birth? So it's like, oh, I don't know about that. I'm like, Harold, like, what do you think I'm going to do with your date of birth exactly? He's like, you never know what kids could do nowadays. I'm like, I know where you live. I could send a nail bomb to your house and you won't tell me how old you are. I'm like, why not? And he's like, nah, I don't know, people could frame me. I'm like, with your date of birth, no one cares you're 59, Harold. No one's going to do anything to you. And in the end, I just thought, no, this was just, that was the worst 3 months of my life. But it was only fun because my friends were with me.
Do you think, I think this would be a podcast in itself, but do you think that a lot of that has to do with in my opinion, I think the education system is flawed in that, like, you went through up to high school, or I don't know what.
You're like a middle school.
Yeah, it's like
Redcoat school.
13 to 16.
Yeah.
Oh, 12 to 16, I think. 12 to 16.
Where, like, well, before you go to college, it's like the 4 years, I don't know, is it
5 years? We have year 7, year 8, year 9, year 10. Yeah, we have 5 years.
Before you go to college?
Yeah.
Okay. And I feel like kids leave high school, and we don't have to get super into this, but I don't think that when you leave high school, like, people still don't have an inkling of what they would know what they would want to do, just because it's like that we're taught how to solve math problems and like impractical things. It's like how do we better prepare people for the careers to find out what they actually want to do? Like for you, PT, for Drew being a bum, like it's like
these medical trials.
Yeah, medical trials.
So shout out to Slarion.
So Drew, how do you make your money? Oh, I get plasma taken.
Yeah, I just cut a few things off. Let me check.
Drew, you don't like needles? He goes, yeah, it's the worst day of my life, but I get $25 every shot.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
I don't got like a lot of skills.
I'm not that real good at math.
Real good at math.
But no, I totally agree with you because not the problem, but the first school I was at before I went to sixth one, where I mean, I don't know the exact statistic, but in terms of state schools for all boys, I mean, it was like one of the best in the whole of the UK. So like to get in there is like unreal. So we went, state being is free though, so that's why it's like really competitive. And when I was there, it's kind of one of them where I don't know how you grade. Do you have like A stars and A's and B's in the US? How do you get graded?
A, B, C, D.
Yeah. So like A is the best, and then So our best is A star. And the problem with that school is they kind of put a pin through the middle. If you're like a B or an A, they'll help you get to the A star because ultimately, because people don't pay to go there, they need to get the results, and that's what they're good at. They are one of the best schools in the UK. So unfortunately for me, because I kind of sat more like the BC range, naturally, like I'd probably get a B, then probably hit the C's. They're kind of like, It's almost like you kind of get forgotten about to a degree, which you can't really blame them because they're one of the best schools in the UK. So it's like, they're almost like, we're not really going to help you get above that. We're just kind of let you just kind of drift down.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to a different school in sixth form, they were a lot different. They were more trying to bring everyone up. But I totally agree with you. They don't teach you how to do taxes. They don't teach you how to go look for a job. They don't teach you anything outside of UCAS, which is our road to university. That's kind of the thing. Like the school I was up like tunnel vision. You do your GCSEs, you do your A-levels, you then do your UCAS and you go to uni. When I was I don't want to go to uni, they were like, what? I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go. And they're like, what do you mean you don't want to go to uni? Like, you should go to uni. And then I'm like, well, do I go to uni and get 50 grand's worth of debt, something I'm not going to use? Like people who do Mickey Mouse degrees in media, I'm like, you just got fucked up for 3 years and you've got nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
So I've got a third in a media degree from Derby. I'm like, wow, cool. Cool. You're going to use that one in the future.
And that's what even too, like look at how many degrees, unless you're like an engineer, and even then, like I would say I used like maybe 30% of my degree, maybe 25% maybe, if that. And most of it was just like soft skills of being able to organize and like present and talk to people.
And
like
zero.
And yeah, yours isn't even in a relevant field. It's
what did you do at uni?
Economics.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
And he ran a screen printing company.
Yeah. And I'm like, why am I here?
And now,
I was in a wrestling
I
company.
know you're a human guinea pig.
That's true.
What about the Keynesian economics of me getting my blood drawn by an 18-year-old? Doesn't even know how to like take the thing off, throw it right bin.
And that's what. But I mean, I don't know. I think all of it eventually still leads you to where you should be. I know he doesn't believe in. I don't really believe in fate, but like I think you do everything, and it eventually takes you to the path that you should be, or the place that you should be. Well, I just think some people will, no matter what, they'll land on their feet. Like you take someone who's successful and make them homeless, and they'll be in a good place in 1 month. Yeah, it's a mindset.
Take someone who can't do anything, give them $2 million, and they'll be broke in a year.
What's the? I don't know what the statistic is for lottery winners. It's like 80% of lottery winners go broke within 5 years, or something like that.
Or end up dead in some weird kind of way.
Yeah.
There's like I don't even know what it was, but they were talking about how they did some study, and this is the pseudoscience we're talking about. I just saw where they're like they did like a personality evaluation on like lottery winners, on a lot of these lottery winners, and they did one on like people who had like lost an arm in an accident or something, or got like paralyzed, and like the people who were paralyzed or lost an arm or like went blind or something were like so much happier than these people who won the lottery within like 2 years or something, a year.
But then I think it comes down to, because obviously in my field it's a lot about like having a fixed and a growth mindset, where you can sit someone down, and this is kind of how I kind of got pushed into my demographic, where say you're doing photography or whatever it may be, you sit down and you do something, let's say I'm your mentor or I'm your whoever you look up to, and if I sat down and said, yeah, your work is shit, you could either look at me and be like, oh, that was mean, I guess I'm just not going to do photography anymore, and you just throw it in, and people can't take criticism that well, or you look at that and say, okay, yeah, it hurts now, but what do you think is shit? What do you think I can kind of improve on? Mm-hmm. Because when I first went into it, like naturally as a guy, your first thing is, oh, I'm going to be a bodybuilder, I'm going to train rugby players. Like, yeah, guys train guys, girl trains girls, like you think that's the stereotype of what you do. But then obviously you look at me, I'm not big at all. I don't think I ever will be. Genetically, I just couldn't ever be a mass monster. So when I first went in, the guy who was like kind of like overlooking me said, yeah, sat me down one day, he was like, yeah, Jake, you're not big enough to train dudes. And I was like, what? Because obviously that's all I thought I was going to do. I thought I'm just going to train dudes. Like, yeah, that's what I enjoy doing. And he's like, yeah, you're just not big enough to train dudes. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. Like, it's kind of everything I always wanted to do. And then he's like, good chat, nice. And then he kind of like breaks it down, and I said, well, what do you think I should do? And it sounds crazy, like, because at the time I was 20, kind of still pretty fresh, barely getting my feet sorted. And he's like, there is a lot of women in the area. The area we live in is quite affluent. There's a lot of stay-at-home mums, dads go to work, they can stay at home. Like, they've got free time. So he was like, what does every mum want when their son goes to uni? I'm like, I don't fucking know. And he's like, to speak to their son. And I'm like, looking at him like, oh. And he's like, just bear with me, Jake. Just bear with me, just roll it. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, let's be honest, sons go to uni, and they're like, I'm not talking to my mum. I'm going to go get this. I'm going to go meet girls. Like, I'm not going to call home. Because that's what people do. Because I work with mums, and I know it's true, because they're like, yeah, my fucking son's not called me, and I have to call him. Like, "Yeah, your mum's on my back. Just text her now, please." And then he's saying all they want to do is talk to someone who's in their son's position, and he was like, "Be that person. Go and be the young guy who the mums look forward to seeing in the week to kind of replace their son." And I'm thinking, holy shit, this guy's a genius. Nice. And then ever since then, my main demographic was middle-aged women. He started with my mum, started with my mum's friends. They made a little core group. Then other women came in, saw the kind of like connections they were all making, and then from there, it just evolved into me training women. I don't even really get inquiries from dudes anymore, just because I don't try and target dudes anymore. It's pretty much solely based at women. But if he'd said that to me and I turned around and been like, "Oh, that sucks. Oh, I'm going to go back to the call center," I wouldn't be still PTing now. I'd be in some terrible call center job.
And I feel like that's true for a lot of markets though, is find your niche. It's like where do you niche. Yeah, niche.
We're speaking Queen's English on this podcast, not President's English.
Niche.
Sorry.
Niche.
Speaking Abraham Lincoln. Hey, I just thought of this. New marketing tactic. Bumble, 30 to 45 to 50. They message you and you're like this.
See, if mine already wasn't on 18 to 80, I wouldn't do that.
I think you can tell a lot about somebody by just looking at their Bumble and Tinder settings. Yeah.
100 kilometer range, 18 to 80. Like, I just think, like, you can't decline people like that. What if they're searching for me?
I think you just make like a Jake Taylor .fit separate Bumble or separate Tinder and then just target them and be like, "Oh, this is what I do."
That could work. We were talking about it for
we could be like
BBH Castaways Tinder.
We could be like a one-stop shop. We could be like, "Yo, I got these guys. I'll get you in better shape, and then they'll take your picture."
Yeah, get your new Facebook page.
We're getting
Tinder
business
page.
idea. Business ideas.
We'll call it Team Right Swipe, and it's just like.
So what's your niche in photography? I actually take Tinder photos. Actually.
Yeah, Tinder photos.
Wedding photos? Nah.
Yeah,
just
and Tinder like profile and bios, you know.
Yeah. All the above creative service.
Well, yeah, we'll get like what guys want to hear for Bumble, and then for Tinder, it's just gotta wait.
Yeah.
We'll get banter lessons.
Yeah.
Flirting lessons.
Flirting,
yeah.
Kissing booths, improving technique.
Oh yeah.
Right swipe.
Right. Team Right Swipe.
It starts with you. And
Hashtag.
It actually comes up.
Hashtag Team Right Swipe.
Yeah.
Trending. Twitter.
Yeah.
So.
That's
fitness.
my goal, is to try to like divert this fitness talk because
Drew's not what you call health.
I ain't like real smart about it all.
You can be anecdotal though, because you've got much better experience in fitness than I do.
Especially too from the standpoint of, I mean, I want to talk eventually about sports and like the mindset that we have versus the clients that Jake like I don't know, coaches. What's the right word for that? Trains,
coaches. Yeah. All come from the same route.
Because we come from the, I have to win and beat someone and being coached, whereas Jake is the coach. Or the trainer. So yeah.
What are we doing?
What
we're doing?
You're like
I don't know if you need to hold it.
And a scholar. Potentially a scholar also, Drew.
I think, and this has come up quite a bit, especially in someone that Drew and I listen to, Jordan Peterson. Him and his daughter have been doing basically an elimination diet. So they do the carnivore diet. And Ben Greenfield was recently on Joe Rogan and talked about this. Even looking at like vegans and vegetarians, it's where you're basically cutting out large portions of what a well-rounded diet should be. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? Like overall kind of diet? I mean, and again, I think we all kind of have the same mindset. I mean, we're traveling, so kind of do what we can, but things like that, what are your takes on it? Where do you stand on it?
So are you talking about elimination? That's like saying the veggie, the vegans, anything where you're taking out food groups.
Yeah, like carnivore, paleo.
We can swear on this podcast, yeah?
Yeah.
You have already.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's just kind of like second tone for me, you know?
No,
honestly, fucking daft. Like, the best way to think of it is, would you do that to a baby or child? No. So I think why treat? Now this is coming because you're coming from a, let's say, technically, yeah, you'd say the elite standpoint, because when you guys fight and you guys wrestle, it is 24/7, it is your life. I'm on the flip side of that coin. I'm more about lifestyle. I'm working with mums and dads who don't like exercising. They don't like the thought of not being able to eat 6 pounds of butter a day. They don't like the thought of thinking, oh my God, I can't do something. So on my side of the coin, it's a lot more mental, because you're not physically, they can do it. Mentally, they've almost mistreated their body for the last 20, 30 years, and now they're trying to undo those habits, which is quite hard. Whereas for you two, I could say, okay, you're not going to drink water for the next 3 days. And you could probably do it because you cut weight before. Mm-hmm. If I said that to a middle-aged woman in the morning, I wouldn't do it because it'd be extremely bad for her. There's no way she could do it. Neither could I, because I'm not built in that way. Mm-hmm. So I just think eliminating anything is kind of, for you guys, it's different because you're mentally in the right place where you won't rebound as hard. If I said to one of my clients, okay, and at the first gym I worked in did this, they did like the sugar detox, the sugar cleanse, where they said, okay, for the first 5 days you can only eat X, Y, and Z. So they basically eliminated like 75% of the food groups, no sugar, no salt, no nothing, to like reset their body. And I'm like, you don't need to be reset. You just need to know not to eat it all day. So they would say, okay, we're going to cut out all these things, and on the 6th day, we're going to introduce something else, some more fruits and veg. On the next day, we're then going to introduce something else. So it's kind of like reintroducing food to the diet again to kind of reset what they think their satiety level should be. Do you know that feeling when you kind of like, yeah, oh, I need a sugary drink, to kind of reset those kind of levels? But again, it's kind of a myth. It's all in your head. Like when I got into the habit before I got my teeth done, I was kind of having Coke every single day. And then just weirdly, as soon as I got my teeth done, mentally I'm like, why would I have a Coke every day when I just paid to do my teeth? So mentally I just said, oh, I just won't have it. And I just stopped completely. So I just think eliminating for a normal person, all it's going to do, it's just an over-restriction and a binge. That's all it's going to lead to be. Like if you say let's say you've got, I don't know, Fat Sally, she's 15 stone, she's overweight, she's not been anything for 20 years. Like, this kind of makes sense to what you're saying about your mum when she drinks pop or soda every day. Let's say you're drinking two cans of Coke every single day, full fat Coke, and that is one contributing reason why they have gained fat over the last 5-10 years, and they've done it every single day. If I said to her, you're never going to eat Coke again, so drink Coke again, I'm going to say, what's the first thing you think about? She's going to be like, well, I'm thinking about Coke. It's like, if I say, don't think about a white elephant, you think of a white elephant, don't you? So what I would say to her instead is, okay, you're having 2 a day, that's 14 a week, let's have 13 this week instead. She'll be like, is that it? And I'm like, yeah. Next week, we'll then have 12. And she'll be like, okay, cool. Next week, we'll have 11. Because when you do things small, people don't notice it. If I take it all away all at once, it's almost like taking away, it's like, almost like withdrawal. It's like mental and physical withdrawal, where for my clients, it wouldn't work. There would be a lot of cases where they'd either have to lie to my face, which is never a fun conversation, because I'm like, right, Sally, you've not lost weight in the last week. She's like, I promise, Jade. I've stuck to it. I'm like, what about Friday? She's like, oh, I got a blackout drink out of kebab. I'm like, yeah, no shit. You've not changed for the last 2 weeks. So it's almost like,
seems cool.
my kind of girl.
That seems alright.
So the thing, like, especially like the carnivore diet, there's a lot of different arguments. Like for a normal person, cutting anything out is going to end terribly. It's going to end awfully. Whereas like, the interesting thing, when we talked about the carnivore diet, where in like the Navy SEALs, again, these are more like to your end of the spectrum, they're like elite. You tell them to do anything, they will do it. Like they do not argue. Where when we're looking at the thermic effect of food, where when you have the 3 food groups, you've got protein, you've got fat, you've got carbs, there's going to be a certain amount of energy needed when you eat each of them for your body to burn them and use them as fuel. Now, the one which is the highest thermic effect is going to be protein. So when you eat 100 grams of chicken, 200 grams, 40% of whatever you eat has to be burned in order for it to be digested through your body. It's going to have the highest thermic effect. From what I remember, the other 2, I can't remember which order they are. It goes 40 for protein, 10 for carbs, I think, and then 5 for fats. Don't quote me on the last 2. The first one I know. So like in the Navy SEALs, when they go through like Hell Week and they go into like really cold water and they're not really eating, they're not sleeping, they will put them on a carnivore diet because it's going to warm them up the most from the inside. That is the only scenario I can ever think where the carnivore diet makes sense. I can't think of any other reason why a normal person would need to do it. Do you know the name of the doctor who did the carnivore diet?
No, he was on Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
he's done it for a few years. He actually, it was like controversial. He had lost his like light. He had gotten sued over something where he shouldn't have gotten sued, and they like pulled his light. It was like a really big if it's the guy I'm thinking about, he had done the carnivore diet.
He was on the Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
but it's almost like doing your times tables. You want to get to the number 10. there's a lot of different combinations of how you can get there. If you want to get to the number 1,000, there's a lot of combinations. I'm going to know one straight away, 1,000 times one. Someone might not understand that right away. Someone might need to do a very weird way to get there. And it's the kind of thing with fitness, like the ketogenic diet, the carnivore diet, the going veggie, going vegan. They've all got reasons why, and they all work. But it's more how sustainable are they for the person doing it. Like for me, if I went vegan, yeah, of course I could go vegan. But like from an ethical standpoint, that's the only reason why I'd ever do it. Mm-hmm. But would it bring me the same amount of happiness as I do now? No, I was just trying to limit where I get my meats from. Is it ethically sourced, or trying to limit how much meat I'm actually eating, or even how much meat I'm wasting? That's more the way I would look at it. But I just think restricting anything for someone like me or my clients would just end in a disaster.
And I think too, like this is a big thing, kind of what you're saying is that, and we've talked about this a lot, that people, especially in the Western part of the world, they're not comfortable being uncomfortable in that, like so much of their lives, they're used to their routines, they're used to what they eat, they're used to having access to stuff of whether it's like, oh, I want a jar of natural peanut butter. I can go buy a jar of natural peanut butter. I can also buy these 10 different types of over-the-counter medicines and these types of bandages, and I have 10 gas stations within 2 miles of my house. So it's like things like that when you're like, okay, you can't drink pop anymore, or like you can't, people aren't used to being uncomfortable. It's like, and especially traveling, like you see it all the time that you get put in situations, whether it's working out outside or having, 3 dumbbells to work out with, like, or not having access to a kitchen or not being able to buy food. It's people aren't used to living an uncomfortable lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's sure. And how, that's where growth comes from. It's how do you push yourself to be a better person? It's finding things that you're not comfortable with, whether it's your diet. I know a lot of people, one of the guys that we used to wrestle with, Tervel, that was one of the things he went keto because he said he needed to, after he got done competing, Olympic level athlete, very, very high, world medalist, multiple time world medalist, I'd probably say arguably top 2 or 3 heavyweights in the history of USA wrestling. He said, after he got to competing, I have to have things that are uncomfortable in my life. And it's like, I understand and I get that. It's like we all live in a very, especially in the Western world, we live a very comfortable life in that people complain about things and people think they have a lot of struggle, but it's like we need more uncomfortability because uncomfortability is where we grow, and that's where you see results. Like you're saying, it's funny because how many people do you know that go on a vegetarian diet or go on a vegan diet or go on this diet and they go, oh, I've had the best results. Like I've lost 50 pounds. I can run a sub 5-minute mile. And I'm like, well, what were you doing before that?
Yeah.
Like you were eating cheeseburgers and playing video games. Like,
are we talking about the general pop here, or are we talking about Drew over here? We're talking about Drew.
And Big Mac today was really good. So good. Also, let this be known, Sri Lanka has Big Macs, but with chicken patties.
Big chickens. Big chickens.
They're called McChicken. Or no, they're called
Big McChickens?
Chicken Macs, I think.
They never put the
innovative stuff here.
But it's like, so, from that, it's like, yeah, how could you not get healthy? And that, people swear by diet. It's like, well, because you were living a terrible lifestyle before. Like, it's not, if you go from not running to running every day, like within a month, you're probably going to feel a lot better. Like, it's not just that, it's just that your lifestyle before was so sedentary. Like,
yeah.
I think that's one thing that people always ask when they're like, or one thing that comes to mind to me when they're like, how do you travel? And I'm like, if that's what you value, then you figure it out. Like I make way less money than a lot of other people, but it's like, yeah, if you're making more money, then it's like, then you can maybe waste more money. And you're just kind of like, you're just kind of living in that, well, I could, but I don't need to. I don't need to save. I can go, spend all this money at the bar or spend all this money eating out every day. And you're just kind of like, I can because it's like I have the money or whatever. But it's like, nope, if I do that, then I can't. For me, it's like I have to put myself in a corner. And it's like, that's why I always say, like, for me, the best thing to happen is like if I'm dead broke, because then it's just like, I have no choice. I cannot actually do this, or I can't actually do that, to where like I have to put myself in that corner to where it's like, nope, now I got no other option than to do this. It's like, no, I can easily say no. It's like when my computer was messed up in Sapa, and I was like, I'm not going to go out with you guys. I'm not going to do anything until it's fixed. And I'm like, that's what I'm telling myself, and I promise I won't sway from that. But then when my computer is fixed and I edited for a little bit, it's just like, oh, everything's going well. Maybe I can go out more. Maybe I can do this, do these other things where it's like, oh, now these videos start piling up, and now I'm super far behind because it's like everything was comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I don't have to have. I'm not setting myself deadlines. I'm not saying, nope, this is gonna happen. I have to do this. I have to do that. And that's where the wrestling stuff. It's actually easy to lose all that weight and to cut it because it's like you don't have a choice. It's like, are you hungry? Yeah, you cannot eat. Literally, the only way you'll make weight is if you do not eat right now. It's like, oh. So, I mean, as much as it sucks, it's like mentally it can be easier that way. That's why I think you see a lot of people in, poor countries who get, they don't have access to as much stuff as, Westerners do, or like let's say in wrestling or in training. It's like, yeah, they're poor, but they don't have, maybe as many distractions as somebody else does who has more comfortability in their life. It's like, no, I literally, this is what I'm doing, and I have no other option than to just do this right now. And so I think for me, it's like I have to set deadlines for myself for things. It's like, I am not going to do this until this is done. Or I want to do the thing where I write a check to an organization that I hate for like $500, and I give it to him, and I say, if this video is not finished in 2 weeks, you need to mail that.
Mail it to Knockout.
Yeah.
God, I fucking hate Knockout.
Well, I could either deal with Allegiant Airlines for anything, and I would find a way to get to the moon.
Yeah, but and the thing is, like you're saying, like so many people, we had talked about this, the later becomes never mentality. It's like, oh, new year, new me, or whatever it is. It's like, burn the bridge. Like, if you want to do something, don't talk about it, do it. Like, whether it's fitness or like lifestyle or I mean, I don't know how many times people will be like, oh, like, I wish I could travel. I'm like, I spend so much less money traveling than I did when I had a full-time career doing the corporate job. Like, and now I sacrifice things. Like, I mean, when I was doing that, I lived a very healthy lifestyle. I was outdoors. I meal prepped. I ate way cleaner. I had access to a gym. I had more resources in that retrospect. But it's like, if it's something that you want to do it. And that, just like circling back to the dieting thing, it's like so many people where they're like, oh, how did you lose weight when you were wrestling? Or how did you do? And I'm like, you just do it. It's a mentality. It's not a like, oh, well, like, I had this week, so maybe I'll try it next week. Or like pushing, or like, oh, I'm gonna wait my New Year's resolution. I'm like, I don't know how you guys feel, but one of my biggest pet peeves is New Year's resolutions. Like, I hate when people are like,
well, it's because they have nothing to lose if they don't.
Yeah,
they can put on themselves.
The worst thing in the world. It's like, unless something is tangible, and the thing I started doing at home was called a vision board, where you'd write down, like, you'd set a time frame, whether you want to put a week, a month, whatever it is, but it has to be 3 things: for short, a medium, and long term thing. And you have to make them tangible. Until you write something down, it means nothing. You just said it. No one's heard it. No one's going to see it. It's just not going to be there anymore. You say, oh, I'm not going to eat chocolate. I'm going to go to the gym every single day. 9 times out of 10, they're seriously unrealistic anyway. But the thing I saw on this board is, the annoying thing about it is, you put it all there, you put it on your wall, I at the end of my bed, and every morning you're going to wake up, you're going to see that fucking piece of paper still there. Oh. Then your mum comes in, oh, what's this piece of paper? I'm like, fuck, now she's seen it, I can't even burn it, no one will know. And then your sister comes in and like, great, now everyone's fucking seen it, and now I'm going to have to do it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, as soon as you write something down, well, the thing I did, I put my story, I said, on Instagram, I said, hold me to this, when I get to Australia and I'm doing a skydive. But Jake, you hate heights. Yeah, I know. I think I'm going to cry. I could sell that video for a lot of money. But that's why I'm doing it, because you spend so much time just thinking like, oh, like say later becomes never, where, I mean, my parents are like, I mean, I'm sure everyone's parents are in the same boat where in their day it was different. Like, yeah, you travel when you're younger, you kind of have a family, you have kids, it's like, oh, my life's over now, I'm going to do the same job for 40 hours a week, which is cool. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my parents, but neither of them would uproot their lives until at least my little sister, and she'll move out in maybe like 2 or 3 years. I want them just to be like, all right, we're going to sell the house, we're going to leave. I'll be like, yeah, go live somewhere else, I'll come visit you. Get free accommodation, go live somewhere cool. Like, I want them to do that, or they're just going to live in England. I'm sure most parents do. They'll just live in one place, they'll retire, and they'll just kind of like, oh, well, we're just old now, we're just going to exist. I'm like, but too many people do that, where I don't want to die thinking like, I haven't done the skydive, because that is like, I could look over our 7-story balcony and not be scared. Like, I can't even jump into water. Like, if you said jump off the water, like off this roof, I'm like, nah, don't want to. Like, that's how bad it is. But it's not. But then the way I'm justifying is like, yeah, okay, if I die doing it, like, it's a pretty cool way to die. I'll be like,
Good out.
yeah, but if I'm gonna die, like, I don't want to. Yeah, it's like, oh, if Dad doing a skydive is pretty cool. Walk up the big man and be like, yeah, nice one, my guy.
Well, then you come slipping. All right.
Yeah, you're like, that's
Well, and too, like, that's what we joke about, but like the one guy who, he was like an ultra marathon runner, but he ate McDonald's and he died at like 40. And then there was a guy that lived to be like 110 who drank 5 beers every night. Like, so this doesn't necessarily like correlate. And that's, I mean, this is just one facet of one giant industry that is fitness and lifestyle and health. But it's, the diet to me, it's like, it's just one more thing that you don't have to worry about as much. Like, okay, I can cross that off. Now I can focus on training or like whatever it is that you may, even when you're doing all the right things may not go your way, but it's, how do I ensure that I'm doing the right things to make myself better? And one of the things that Jordan Peterson says is the you are what you are currently plus what the potential of what you could become. And I think that's one aspect of like that potential of what you could become could be, you know, reading that one book a month, or whether it's for mental capacity, maybe it's going to the gym 2 times more a month for your physical capacity, maybe it's dieting or meal prepping or whatever it is. It's how do you continue to focus on growing?
Yeah. But then that's what life is, where, like in the gym, like it all goes through like stages. It's like you get stress, you get the stimuli, you get the response, and then you come out the end of it, you kind of get bigger, you get better, you get faster, whatever it is you're trying to do. Like you want to build a bicep, you have to put stress through it. That's going to be your stimuli. Your body's going to be like, holy shit, that hurt. Then your body's going to respond to that by saying, okay, so it doesn't hurt as much next time, we're going to adapt. Like in life, if you go through a very cushy life, which isn't bad, like if people have cushy life, that's fine, but I know a lot of people who have had a lot given to them and they don't really understand how the whole life, like I don't, I'm only 21, but they don't really understand how the life thing works because they've never had to adapt to any situation. Whereas for me, when I was like, okay, well, you've been kicked out of school, I'm like, oh, shit, what can I do now? I can't really ask my mum for help. I'm 18, like, I kind of got to respond in some kind of way. Mm-hmm. And then when you come traveling, like, when you get injured, when you do, something goes wrong, it's like, okay, how do I adapt? So people don't have those kind of life experiences. They just kind of go to work, they wake up, and they just kind of flow through life. And like what you were saying about the, about like cutting weight and stuff, like that's like the other complete severe end of the spectrum where it's like, it's extreme starvation essentially, isn't it? And dehydration, that's what cutting weight is. I mean, that could be totally wrong. I mean, I don't know if you want to explain cutting weight.
No, it is. I mean, there's better ways to do it than others and to bring it down quicker. But yeah, I mean, like that ends up happening.
That's the basics.
A lot of it. Yeah. It's not the best way to do it, but sometimes that's the only way to do it. Like take diet as much as you can, and then at the end you just gotta to get that last however much off.
Yeah,
depends.
Did you ever use supplements to like?
I did the eat one small thing every 4 hours, and then eat dinner. Yeah. And in college I did that, and it worked really well. And that would I would start the week at like 155. That would get me to like 48 by Friday, and then I'd cut the last 7, like that, maybe like all day Friday, and then into the rest of Saturday or whatever it is, the day before the rest of the
I know a guy in high school, Andy Miller, I think was his name. He used hydroxycut. You ever, have you heard of that? It's like a fat, like one of those like.
Is this
hydroxycut 1 month lose 20 pounds?
Oh, this is where it sucks. It sucks water from all your cells, doesn't it?
And it's like a fat. It's supposed to be a fat burner, but like he would come in and he'd just be super amped, like spurting around. Like I'm like.
Was it on your team?
Yeah, it was in high school, and that's what I didn't really cut a lot of weight in high school, and I didn't really know what I was doing realistically, like from fitness or like anything in general, dieting. Like a lot of what I learned was when I got to UNK, and that's where I met Drew, and it's like that I started to learn that, and then actually started researching like, okay, how does your body work, and like what are the functions of, okay, I'm cutting calories out of my diet and I'm still continuing to work out. Technically, what is that doing? Well, I'm losing weight, but is it true weight? Kind of things like you talk about with your clients that we've talked about in the past of like, well, you're losing weight, but is it a fat thing? Like, or is it
you can lose 9 pounds in a day, and then you'll gain 9 pounds back the next day, if not more.
I mean, I've had a piss in the morning before, and I've lost 4 pounds. I mean, Joe, when you wake up, you're like, oh my god, into the toilet, you're like, woo! And you're like, what the hell are you doing in there? I'm like, yeah, someone left a tap on, mum. And then you weigh, and I'm like, well, I've noticed metabolize 4 pounds of fat. Like, it's not possible. So it's like, for you, wrestlers don't need to cut fat. Well, provided, depends what, like wrestling isn't about what you look like. It's about performance, obviously. So performance and aesthetics are like almost conflicting to a degree, because as aesthetics get better, performance go down. So it's almost like, so performance, wait, no, yeah, that way. Wait, what? Yeah. So as aesthetics go up, your performance is going to go down, because the leaner you get, like if you look at a men's physique athlete, the day they step on the stage is the day they're going to perform their worst. They can't even get an erection. Like their body is so depleted. But then you look at like the day wrestlers perform, you want to be peaking. The day a CrossFit performs, that's going to be the best day they're going to perform in their entire life. Well, that's what they're hoping anyway. Whereas a bodybuilder's just trying to look the best. Like, so that's where for you, like weight is, you just want to lose weight, which could be water, it could be glycogen, which is just stored energy from your muscle. Whereas for like my clients, it's like someone can not change weight and they can look totally different.
Yeah.
Whereas like you can have like an 80 kilo female who's primarily fat, or an 80 kilo who's a lot taller and a lot more muscular, like an athletic woman, and they can look totally different, but they weigh the exact same. So that's why kind of like my field is like scales don't really mean much. When you get women like, oh my god, I'm on the scales, and I'm like, oh well, what time of your month are you in? Are you in week 1, week 2, week 3, or week 4 of your menstrual cycle? They're like, oh, I'm in week 3. I'm like, well, cool, your estrogen's just dipped, you've missed your testosterone spike, your progesterone's gone up. Your body's getting ready to have a baby. Do you think your body wants to go to the gym? Do you think your body's getting ready to perform? She's like, oh, well, no, I didn't think of it like that. I'm like, well, that's kind of what's going on. Whereas for men, it's like, it's not going to fluctuate as much, but for women, it fluctuates all the time. If you're looking at a woman, even like fighters who are in the first 2 weeks in their follicular phase compared to the last 2 when they're in the luteal phase, they're in two different physiological states. They're not the same person anymore. You have to compare week 1 of one month to week 1 of the next month to actually truly see how their weight fluctuates, which is why when you get like a middle-aged woman who's never really exercised, never really been to the gym, had 3 kids, whatever, her hormones are up and down, like you can imagine how hard it is for them to get their head around, oh, so this is actually relatively simple, but they think it's a lot more complicated. Because naturally, like if you ask any of your parents, they'll be like, oh, well, I'm just going to go on the scales and they'll tell me how much I weigh. I'm like, scales don't really tell you the full story, unless it's for you where you have to weigh.
Which you gotta
like
go
93 kilos.
to qualify to wrestle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
then you want to gain as much weight as you can before you actually wrestle.
Yeah.
So
It's just kind of like 2 kind of conflicting things, isn't it? Because obviously yours is about performing the best, whereas on the flip side, my side is more like trying to look the best you can, whilst what you weigh is kind of like, it don't really matter. Have as little fat as possible and as much muscle as possible. That's kind of what you want to go for. Should we put some lights on?
Yeah, we might want to do that.
the energy bill's going up.
Yeah, we gotta. This is the weirdest Airbnb.
Yeah, the guy told us that we have to pay for electricity.
The first time I've ever been told.
So we're all taking showers together and whatnot. I don't even think we have to pay water, but I convinced her that.
Yeah, I think we got poo together as well.
It's
kind of like a tower.
Put it in the toilet and then flush it once a day.
We get 1 flush a day, boys.
Like, I've never heard of that in an Airbnb. Apart from like my dad making jokes about electricity bills, I've never once been charged separately to use electricity. I've never once left so many lights off in all my life.
Yeah.
Usually it's like Blackpool illuminations in my house.
Yeah.
So what's your, and I'm speaking from this, at least I mean, in college, I used to take a lot of like pre-workouts. I used to take protein. I used to do like weight loss shakes and stuff like, or Islam, lost weight shake.
Lost weight shake. Yes, I must have lost weight shake.
This is Dimitri, the wrestler.
No, it's Islam.
Abitov.
He came from
Kyrgyzstan.
Was he from Kyrgyzstan?
Yeah.
He wrestled 165. I was wrestling 197, and he'd come up to me. He'd go, Linda, right before a duel, you want to switch single? And I'm like, Islam, you're like a foot shorter than me, man. It's so tight. And he'd always pull it down, and I'm like,
It's like, what is your size? And like
International wrestlers wear really baggy singlets,
Yeah.
and we wear
Like tights. Yeah.
super tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so funny because like fucking.
I could not breathe. I could not breathe.
Lina, give me your singlet. Like what?
Why?
That guy would cut weight by stretching.
Yeah.
He just put on a bunch of sweats and then go down and stretch for like, I don't even know how long, hour and a half.
He was
and he would
tough.
like, come up and just be sweating like crazy.
But
how do you do that?
Oh, he's so tough. He took down Robert Kokesh twice,
Yeah.
and then Kokesh pinned him, but took him down twice. Because he was also really lazy. Like he would hit like 2
I think it's
takedowns,
just like,
and then he just give up.
he just wrestled like he's from Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah. He was a freestyler. He was there. He did
different than what we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Like whereas like American folk style is like go 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 go. Like
Well, and yeah, we're the most in shape country.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have to be in shape to be
the best.
the best.
Yeah.
Or the best shape.
Um.
Breaths.
Cannot breathe.
Lila, give me your singlet.
Lina, give me a singlet. Like whoa whoa whoa. This isn't vodka, bro. Why you always say I have vodka? Come on, man.
I felt bad for him because he's Muslim and during Ramadan, I don't know. You can only eat.
That was very
the sun's
culturally
down?
insensitive.
I don't know.
I think it's wrong.
I don't know.
You can only eat at night.
I mean, coming from World War I over here.
Well,
Oh.
during Nebraska winters, it's not. Oh no, wait. You can only eat during the day. No, you can only eat during the day.
It's before sunrise and after sunset, I think.
Okay. Well, whatever it was,
It's
he would-
between sunset
he would
and
not
sunrise.
be able to eat.
I think, don't quote me on that, I think.
I don't know. For whatever it was, he couldn't eat when like you
You can't
have to
drink
eat for
either.
wrestling.
You can't drink either.
Yeah, and so he was like, he would come and do sprints and go through our workouts and just has nothing in his body. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, I feel. He'd just be like dragging. And I'm like, oh dang, that sucks. Yeah, that was not ideal for somebody who's training.
Yeah, to try and compete at a high level.
Because intermittent fasting is you can only eat for 8 hours, right? And you can't eat for.
Well, but it could be any. You pick the
It's
range.
usually 16:8 is what you'd see.
16.
Usually be between midday and 8 p.m. Like, if you're going to ask someone,
I think I could do
it.
that.
It'd probably be between 9 times out of 10. It's between 12 and 8, but it's essentially a fast.
Well, and that's what
I'd like to try that.
they talk
Because I
about.
sleep till noon every day.
Well, but they were talking about.
You probably do intermittent fast.
Maybe that's how I
Yeah.
would stay skinny. And he's like, yeah, I don't know.
Just what'd you eat today? Nothing. But Jerry talks about it with, I mean, like Rhonda Patrick and with basically any of the nutritionists. They talk about intermittent fasting, and I don't know if that's like a big
Kick
I
right
feel
now?
like there's so many different things. I don't know. Like you hear all the, you should do this, and then like a little bit later, it's like, yeah, that's really bad for you. I'm like,
I mean,
does anyone know? I'm gonna be like this. I'm gonna keep eating McDonald's and Taco Bell until you really figure it out. It's like I'm hearing a bunch of theories rolling around. I'm not gonna jump on the team quite yet. I'm gonna ride this one out.
Well, they say that intermittent fasting, and this is my understanding of it, is that basically back in the day when we were like more primitive, there were periods of times where we wouldn't have food when there was a scarcity of food sources, and your body had to learn to regenerate, whether it's your muscle or like your brain function, without having a lot of nutrition based. Like you wouldn't have food, you wouldn't have water, so your body has regenerative processes when you're in that state. And so that's, I mean, I don't know if I feel like that's kind of the concept of keto, but then on top of that you see all these people that do like Ben Greenfield was talking about, once a quarter, he'll do a full 24-hour day fast. So Saturday night dinner to Sunday night dinner, he won't eat. So like
Tim Ferriss does 3 days a month, no food, only liquid, because he said it like flushes out all the whatever it is that like cancer maybe feeds off of. And it flushes your whole system of it every month.
too interesting.
Literally no idea what's going on there, but
Yeah.
I heard him say it on a podcast where it's like, yeah, 3 days every month he doesn't eat for 3 days. It's just juice. I think it's like it's supposed to like flush your system of a lot of.
I think
That's what he said.
there's kind of a few things like
Pseudoscience.
fasting, it comes back to the uncomfortability thing where we, like back in the day, we would have to get up middle of the night when the animals were sleeping, we'd have to go and kill, we'd have to eat. We just go to Sainsbury's or we go to Tesco or Walmart, wherever we don't have the necessity, we're hungry, 24-hour supermarket, there's a drive-thru over the road.
Yeah.
So there's a guy called Martin McDonald. Have you ever heard of him from the UK?
Mm-hmm.
Like really, like he's like huge. He does a thing called MNU, like a nutrition course. Really like unbelievably smart guy, like crazy smart. And he does a similar thing to that where he won't eat. I think he does, I don't know how many days he does in the year, where he won't eat for 24 hours or 48 hours or drink. And he doesn't do it to say, you'll see a lot of things online like, oh, it improves your cognitive ability, oh, it makes you sharper. And it's like, but then it comes back to like when the vegetarians, oh, with veggie, I've never felt better. I'm like, you've gone from a lot of calorie-dense foods to a lot of low nutrient-dense foods, and you're now not eating in the morning. You've now cut out your McDonald's breakfast and your brain feels clearer. Yeah, I wonder why that is. Yeah, you're now not eating shit. You're just now eating proper things between 8 hours. So the reason why he says he does it is to reset what he believes being hungry is. Because like now, we just eat it, but if you said, do you want to get food? I'm like, yeah, I could eat.
Yeah.
Or I won't eat for 2 hours and I'm starving. I'm not. If I was starving, I'd be dying. That's what starving is. So the only reason why he does it is to kind of almost like train himself to realize, okay, am I eating because I know I can eat? Am I eating because I've just driven past something? Like when we went past Taco Bell earlier, you're probably like, oh, I could have Taco Bell. But you're not, your body isn't hungry. You could just eat it.
Yeah.
So he's almost saying like, how to reset your body to actually know when it's starving and when it's not. And that's why he kind of does it. And then the thing about Tim Ferriss, he's written a book, hasn't he?
Yeah, 4 Hour Body.
4 Hour Work Week.
4 Hour Body, 4 Hour
Chef.
Really, really, really good book. This is when you get like the juice cleanse things where people think you need to take like juices to like cleanse the toxins out of your body. I mean, we have organs that have been doing it for the last however many years we've been alive. That's what organs are there for. So it's like, but then it comes down to it again. If you have a really, really shit diet and then you go and have a load of ginger, you go a load of nutrients, micronutrients, and you feel amazing, again, of course you feel amazing. You've not had vitamins and minerals for the last 6 years of your life. So that's why when he's talking about like getting rid of stuff out of his body, it's when people go from a very, what's the word? Like a diet which doesn't have a lot of nutrients in or isn't very nutrient dense, and then they go to something where they're just eating fruit and veg for 3 days. It's like, yeah, of course you feel good. Mm-hmm. You're not eating McDonald's for 3 days. You're not eating burgers for 3 days. You're not doing all these things. Mm-hmm. And not because McDonald's and burgers are bad. It's more thinking eating them too much is bad. If you're having like a nutrient dense diet, 80% nutrient dense, the last 20%, if you want to fill that in with foods like McDonald's or whatever it is, that's kind of where like my approach would sit, where I think, okay, you've got 2,000 calories for the day, Matt. You've hit your protein, you've hit your fiber, you've hit this, that, and the other. And those 2,000 calories are going to allow you to lose fat over the course of the week. And you've got 200 calories left. I'm like, cool, go have half a dairy milk bar. Or go have a full dairy milk bar and save yourself the other 26 calories for tomorrow. You would still achieve your fat loss. Is a chocolate bar going to add time onto your life? No, probably not. Is it going to take it off? Nah, probably not either. So it kind of comes back to like, is it suitable for a normal person, or is it suitable for like someone of your kind of mindset where you can eliminate everything quite easily? That's kind of like my take on the Tim Ferriss thing.
Which it's, too, I don't know if you felt like this, like, I mean, I think people say calories are calories. Like, I know Nick, one of our buddies that we wrestled with in college, he would always have like a Dr. Pepper before he'd come into practice, or like he's a big soda drinker. And like, to me, when I was cutting weight, I was like, I don't necessarily think this is the right mindset, but I'm like, I can't have bad food. I have to eat clean all week, and I'm going to work out, and I'm going to cut my calories, and I'm going to restrict this way, and then this is how I'm going to do it. Whereas like, I know people that would lose weight because they just have a Snickers every 3 hours. Like, instead, they're doing the calorie limiting, but they're not, their body's still, and I mean, again, we're talking 18 to 21-year-old athletes here, that they're processing and burning a ton of food. I mean, we're working out 2 to 4 hours a day, every day, like multiple workouts a day. So it's, I mean, I think your body burns through it, but for me, I was almost like just very like overly strict that I couldn't do that. Not only did I not like it, but just for me, like, I think it was a mental thing that not necessarily physically would it affect me as much, but in my head, I would get like in my own head against myself to say like, oh, you had pop, like, this is why you're not feeling great at practice today. Like, it was kind of one of those things where I wanted to eliminate any, like, if I had a bad day at practice, I'm like, I had a bad day because I had a bad day. It wasn't because of my diet. It wasn't because I was sick. Like, it was something out of my control. Because I was control the things you can, and then when you can't, it's like, well, like, I tore my knee out or whatever it was. It's like, well, I couldn't have controlled that. But if it was, oh, I didn't make weight, or oh, I feel sluggish at practice today, it's like, okay, well, you missed this meal, and like that's what is leading you to this. Like control things you can. And I don't know how. I mean, I don't know what your diet was, but
in college is a lot better than high school. Is so bad.
Frozen burritos.
Oh, it was terrible. Like after weigh-ins, like early, like freshman sophomore year, first thing I would drink a cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper.
That is the most American thing
It's
I've
so good.
ever heard.
And then I would eat graham crackers with frosting. There was one. I changed after there was one match. I wouldn't drink Gatorade. I would just I'd have some water, and then I would have like water, and like it was so bad. I was like, no, I cut all this weight. Like I'm gonna enjoy myself. And then I had a match where after the first period, for like 2 minutes, I could not move, and I was like 1 point from teching him. So about 14 points. I laid on my stomach the rest of the match, and I was making like stalling calls because I couldn't move. I couldn't even get up to shake his hand after the match. I just like did that, and I won. But I just put down and shook my hand, and I raised it, and I crawled to the side, and I laid there for about 30 minutes, and then my coach's wife came over, and she's like, "Drew, what are you drinking after weigh-ins?" Because she's like, "Your body, like you're in good shape. You're not in good shape. It's what your diet is so bad." She's like, "Do you drink Gatorade?" And I go, "No, I do none of that." She's like, "No, this is what you're gonna do." She's like, she went and bought me Gatorade. She's like, "You're gonna drink this Gatorade." She's like, "That's all. Like that's what you like. You need to put electrolytes back in your body. You need to start putting the right things in your body because it was just like, oh yeah, like I could feel it. I was like, I was hurting so bad because I cut so much weight, and I was just like, and so then I kind of learned lessons that way. And then college was like, I can't cut weight and go to practice week because it's not high school. It's college. Everyone in the room is really good, and you're fighting grown men every day. And now they're not kids, and they're not kids who don't exactly maybe know what they're doing that much. So it's like, okay, I'm actually going to diet, and I did the right things. Not perfect, but I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. I did what I thought was a good idea, and I wasn't putting like really bad stuff in. I'd do like chicken and pasta, like most nights just for energy. And it was like I would always have steak or chicken, and then it was like small like granola bars throughout the day, and like fruit. I'd eat like one banana every morning, and then I'd eat like a Snicker bar 4 hours later, and then I'd eat, or not Snicker, but like
you start off so well.
Like a power bar.
Have
Like a
some
power
fruit
bar.
in the morning, and then have McDonald's.
It'd be like a power bar or like a Cliff bar, and then I would like 4 hours, and then dinner I'd have like it would be like protein and carbs, which I now know carbs are probably the best thing. But then I thought they were like, oh, pasta, that's what runners do.
What two kind of things like that kind of leads on from the over restriction and the binge, because obviously as a fighter, like it's like how much, like for me to tell a middle-aged woman not to drink Coke throughout the week, not because Coke's killing her, just from a calorie point of view. Let's say she hates Diet Coke, she only wants the full fat. I'm like, okay, well that's gonna be 141 calories a can. Like if you want it, that's cool, but it's coming off your daily total. That's like non-negotiable. That's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
So like that level of restriction is different to what you were doing. You were starving yourselves.
Yeah.
So like it's almost thinking like if you looked at all the calories you had, let's say you're doing how long did you cut weight for? Like a week?
Yeah,
every week.
I'd start like on Monday.
So let's say you have Monday to Monday or whatever. So count the calories up you're having throughout the week. So if you looked at like a weekly total, which is what I do instead of a daily one, if you actually added up what you ate when you were starving, and then when you ate when you binged, like your stomach is shrinking. Your stomach in that week is going like this. It's constricting. It's like if you had an anorexic person and you gave them a normal meal, they would be in a very similar position to what you were doing, because obviously you weren't anorexic, but in comparison, your meal was so big and just grotesque. It just killed you.
Yeah.
Like it's like if someone shrunk their stomach that much and then they ate all that food at once, the stomach's just like, nah, fuck this. You've not used us for the last week. You've not food for the last week. Nah, we're not doing this.
And I mean that's the typical thing that like you go, whether it's college or high school, like you go and you cut all this weight, and then Sunday you binge eat.
Yeah,
like,
all day
that's what
Saturday
it is.
from when you weigh in,
Yeah.
you're just right to
You're
your food.
throwing
And all day
over
Sunday
restriction
too.
and binge, which is but that's what people do with their foods. People don't drink all week and then go out on Friday night and get absolutely shit faced, and then it's like, yeah, like it's cool, but people don't see drinking in the same way. But with a diet, it's a lot more demonized, which is weird because no one thinks, oh, drunk on a Friday night, it's binge.
Yeah.
Whereas with the diets, people beat themselves up and they're like, oh, well, I had a binge, it's all over. I'm like, you don't think about that with your money. You don't think about that with your booze. You save up all year. You go away on one holiday and spend $3,000. You don't bat an eyelid at that. why do you think it's all ruined that you've just had a cheat meal, Sarah?
Yeah.
Even though I don't condone cheat meals in a sense, because I think you shouldn't feel the need to cheat from something. It's like if you have a girlfriend and you're thinking, oh shit, she's hot, you're probably with your girlfriend for the wrong reason. Like if you have a diet and you're thinking, oh, when can I cheat? It's probably not the right diet for you. It's the same, like same with girls, same with anything. If you're looking at cheating on something straight away, you're probably looking, and if you said, Jake, you're never going to eat bread again, you're never going to eat pasta, I'll be like, so when am I going to eat pasta again? But if you said, okay, we're just going to moderate what we're eating, not because carbs are bad, just from a calorie point of view. If you said, you're eating way too much pasta, Jake, your calories are too high, we're going to minimize it, I could be like, yeah, I could do with that, I can live with that. But then if you said you're never going to eat it again, I'm like, motherfucker, what's spaghetti bolognese?
Well, it's a
Karen
mindset.
Taylor's spaghetti bolognese, good stuff.
Like the mindset of like I can't have something again, like or the relationship you have with whether it's food or people. It's like if your mindset is like, oh, I can't, like I'm gonna eliminate this, and then all you think about is that, like then it's probably not the right thing for you. Like you're saying, like we came from that mindset of all I have to do is wait 6 days. Like I can do anything for 6 days. Like, I just have to wait till Sunday, and then I will eat 3 Taco Bell meals.
I'll be happy one day a week.
Yeah.
And then Monday started again.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. I mean, that's the big thing. Is
Yeah, but you should. I don't think you should really cut that much weight first.
oh no, that's
That's the whole other
topic. We got a lot to talk about. So, but too, from the standpoint of, I mean, for us, like if you had been training us when we were in college, like to me, there's not really an option for cheat. Like it's like Sunday, I'm gonna binge eat, and I'm gonna be 20 pounds over on Monday. So you're gonna have to deal with that, Jake. But then it's like, okay, now Monday, I'm back to, I have to like do 10 sets of power cleans, and I have to do, then we're drilling for an hour on Monday morning, and then I'm running Monday night because I'm doing a swim workout on Tuesday night, or like whatever, like versus more, I don't want to say regular, like normal people, like, because now we're that.
It's just general population of people. But yeah, you could call them normal people because that's what they are. They're not in the category of being morbidly obese. They're not in hospital. They're not elite level athletes. Just normal human beings. But that's kind of the problem where the normal human being nowadays is classified as being overweight. Mm-hmm. Like we have such a, like I know America's the same as the UK obesity epidemic. Again, I'm not going to quote the figure, but it was scary. Like I can't remember what it was. Was it 60%? Where 60% of UK citizens were classified as being overweight. Now, I'm not agreeing with the whole government standards because the government guidelines are just horseshit.
Oh, yeah, and BMI.
Like, the BMI thing's ridiculous. You have a rugby player, some of the fittest human beings on the planet. Oh, you're morbidly obese. I'm obese. So what? Just because I'm short, Drew would be obese because he's short. Mm-hmm. You'd probably be obese because you're tall and you're heavy. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that's not a metric. Like when you have a nurse who's overweight herself telling you you're obese, I'm like, thanks, Susan. Thank you for your advice. I'll take that on board.
F off, Susan.
Yeah, eat shit.
Why is it Susan and Sally?
Sally's
now
cool.
we're just one
Sally's
set.
cool.
I'm not in that out of fat Sally.
It's like Fat Amy.
It's only because I have no clients called Susan or Sally, so I can feel safe. They go like, I'm not going to say their names. I'm like, oh my god, you said their name.
See, but then too, I mean, like, so I used to think this, and I think this applies to coaching and PT and anything that. Like, I used to see, like, a PT in a gym, and when I was in shape, I'd be like, I'm bigger than you. Like, why would I take advice from you? And kind of the same thing with, like, coaching. Like, once I had the ability to start taking down my coaches, I was like, in my head, at first I was like, what are you guys going to teach me? And I'm like, hold on a sec. Like, it was kind of one of those, like, Bo Burnham moments where it's like, I'm a 17-year-old idiot. Like, who am I? Like, these guys have been wrestling for, like,
and it's like, you take him down one time, you're like, oh, I could beat this guy. And I'm like, yeah, you remember the 8 other times he took you down right before this? Like,
he made you look like a nap on the floor.
And it's also like, he's not in shape.
Yeah.
He's not training. You know, like, that whole thing where it's just like, oh, yeah, like, you just kind of see it from your point of view. Like, yeah, like, he's probably not even going that hard.
Yeah.
No, in reality, you're saying, you perceive it that way. But it's like, I think that's probably the same way with Lava. It's like, no, well, they still know a lot.
Yeah.
Then that's the thing, like, especially in the PT world, people think if you look good, you're a good PT, and I'm like, there is a lot of good looking PTs who either make no money or are really shit at their job. Because you think some people, I know people who just look at a dumbbell and they get bigger. I know people who just don't ever diet. They don't ever look at what they're looking at, and they'll have a six-pack all year round. And I'm like, that's cool. That's you. That's not me. Yeah. But it's like, especially in like my realm, especially as your coach's realm as well, like knowing something is one thing. Knowing how to teach someone it is a totally different thing. If you can, because you've got to think, us talking together, we all know probably a baseline of similar stuff where we're not looking at zero. You're going to have someone who doesn't enjoy doing what you're trying to teach them. They don't know anything. It's like someone trying to teach me Russian. Like, it would probably be painful for them to teach me. That's why I feel like a coach, when you're a coach, I can take them down. It's like, there's so much more behind closed doors, like how they actually relate to you. Like, can they teach you something without coming off as a dickhead? Because some people can't. Mm-hmm. Can they actually help you learn something? Can they give you something technical where them looking in shape doesn't mean they know how to get someone else in shape, which is kind of the misconception people have. Like the amount of girls you see, oh, I'm an online coach, but they've just got a big bum. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure some guys have good bums. That doesn't make them legally qualified to give away booty advice. Like, yeah. You're just born with a nice ass. If girls are born with big boobs, are they able to do boob surgery? No. A guy's a six-pack, can he be a PT? Can he be a doctor? No, like it's... But then people see that as, you should practice what you preach, but I'm sure at one point your coaches were beasts. That's why they're now coaches. They're probably very smart, they're probably very fit.
Oh, that's how they know a ton too.
They know a lot. Because causation is...
Well, I know, so, I mean, we're not going to say any names, but I know a lot of wrestlers who are very good wrestlers
that are bad coaches.
They are either a bad coach or would be a terrible coach.
But again,
and it's like you see them at certain places teaching, you're like,
but then you never
really? It's like, well, I kind of just do it like that. I'm like, yeah, because your vertical and your explosiveness is like it's insane. Like, these kids don't have that.
Yeah.
Like, what works for you and why you were so good, like, is not going to work for this kid. And so, but then you get, like, what you're saying. It's like, oh, he was this thing. It's like, yeah, guy can't explain anything.
No. But then
cannot.
Because some people can just look at football and be good. Yeah. Some people need to do it every single day of their life and they'll still be pretty average. Yeah. Like for me with sports, like, yeah, I can play sports, but I was never like, oh my God, Jake's good at this, Jake's good at that sport, which is kind of why going into the gym world was what I kind of enjoyed and was good at. I was interested in it. Whereas there's people who just kick football at age 3 and it's like, oh yeah, you're going to play in the Prem. Like, yeah, you're pretty good. Mm-hmm. Like some wrestlers like that coach probably just straight away got it off the bat and he would have been an amazing wrestler. And then he kind of has this fixed in his head like, oh, I'm a really good wrestler, so I'm a really good coach. It's like, no, not really. Because he's never had to learn anything. He's just known it. So it's like, unless you've learned it, how can you teach it to someone? Which is my kind of thing. If you just know something, it's very hard for you to effectively teach someone to it. You have to go through it yourself because then you're like, oh, well, like there's a guy called Drew Manning. He's an American. The Fit to Fat to Fit guy.
Was it, you showed me?
Yeah. So this is basically a guy where you might not know where. Yeah, Google him. I don't know when, he wasn't a PT, he was like he might be a doctor, Dr. Drew Manning or something, where he was always in shape his whole life, never been out of shape, always played sports, wrestling, NFL, super in shape dude. And he basically gained 60 pounds on purpose to feel what his clients were going through because he had never been out of shape. He's never had to try to be in shape. Mm-hmm. He's always been amazing at this, amazing at that, six-pack, whatever it may be. And he's dealing with all these fat people who are like, yeah, we're going through these troubles. Like, what do you mean you're going through those troubles? Like, no, you're not going through these problems. And he's like, yeah, we are, but he's never had the feeling of not being able to tie his laces. He's never had the feeling of sitting on the toilet having a poo and getting up and being out of breath. He's never had to go through anything like that, which most people don't. So he gained 60 pounds on purpose, got completely out of shape, stopped training for 6 months, ate McDonald's every day for 6 months, didn't look at anything. And he said that, yeah, he couldn't even see his dick for 6 months. He couldn't tie his shoelaces, his wife had to do it for him. Like, he rebounded so hard from being in shape. He just said, yeah, I was just a fat piece of shit for 6 months. He did it on purpose. And then still carried on being a doctor or whatever. And then over the next 6 months, he then tried it again. And he was like, I'd never gone on a walk and my knees hurt. I'd never gone on a 5-minute walk up the stairs and feel like I'm going to have a heart attack. Like, he'd never felt those struggles. So then when he came out the other end, so 60 pounds up, 60 pounds down, he was like, the reason why I'm better now is because I know what they're feeling. When they're talking about, oh, I just can't resist that temptation, he's like, trust me, I've been there. This is how you get around it. Rather than saying, no, you need to eat chicken, rice and broccoli. If I do it, you do it. He understood what they were going through because he'd gone down the same road, so he knew how to help them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was incredible. He was maybe on Was it The Biggest Loser? He maybe presented like a guest show. Do you know the show where you have a really skinny person, a really overweight person, and the two tubes? I think he went on as a guest. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Or The Biggest Winner or The Biggest Loser, where
It's The Biggest Loser, but I don't think it's skinny.
maybe I've mixed two shows. Maybe let's talk about the biggest Loser, where it's a load of people and it's like who loses the most.
Yeah.
I think he was like a guest speaker on there, and everyone looks at him like, well, like no one knew who he was. They were like, well, you're in shape. Like, well, what do you have to do? And then he showed a picture of him, and they were like, holy shit! And he was like, yeah, I was you on purpose, not by accident, on purpose. And they were like, why would you do it? And he was like explaining to them like, I know everything you go through. Not to say like, oh well, not to kind of like rub it in their faces, but kind of show them like, yeah, I know it's hard. But this is how you're going to best get around what you're trying to do. And yeah, it's just fascinating because, to my knowledge, I don't think anyone else has done that.
I bet those 6 months were super fun. Like just
Become fat bastard off Austin Powers.
I'm moving.
Like, I don't know, it's one of them where, but mentally, had it stopped?
No, I think we're good. Oh, maybe it says the maximum recording is 60 minutes.
16.
60.
Have we gone over 60? Is that stopped?
Oh yeah, I don't know where we're at.
So
We've been
about
going
that.
for. Yeah, we've been going for.
So
quite a
that
while.
stopped.
That's okay.
What time is it?
It's probably been almost 2 hours.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
I'll look at. I was gonna say the last thing. I'm gonna look at how long we've been recording because I don't. This doesn't even feel like. Yeah. Take a. We'll just look at the
First time
An hour
podcast
21.
problems.
hour 21. Hey, that's not bad.
Are we
That's
wrapping it
fart
up?
noise.
Oh, fart.
No, I mean we got time. I was gonna say what
Hey, should we?
From your-
speaking of health, should we?
from your perspective, what?
Got a bit of diesel. Bit of diesel.
Kick the even off.
Um,
So that's pretty much gone.
What would be your, if we're talking general pop here, your word of advice from your experience in working with the clients that you work with? What would you say? Like, what's the thing that's going to impact people's lives and help them the most in that? Like, starting right now, what can someone do from your perspective to change their lives? Because again, I mean, for us, I think it's like Drew's talked about fat shaming. I mean, whatever it is, it's like we're going to hold each other more so accountable, and we're going to do the things that we need to do just because of the backgrounds we've had. From the standpoint of, like, if I started gaining weight and my pants started fitting tight.
Oh, like the picture I saw on Instagram story. It's got love
Wait,
handles.
you do have love handles. That is
Hey, look at this. I'm working on that
Look at
dad.
Look at this fat piece of shit.
But from the standpoint of, like, we know, like, how to correct that and the things that we can do to try to fix it, rather than like getting complacent where you see people that are the general pop that they've never had to have things that are uncomfortable in their lives to do the things they need to do to be better. Like, what advice can you give from your experience, or at least your background and the clients that you work with?
I think the main thing is finding something you enjoy, because ultimately, for me, especially the field I kind of work in, where they've done something fundamentally wrong for so long, the prospect of doing something different now is kind of like a big thing. Like, imagine you doing walking for the last 30 years and someone saying you're never going to walk again. Like, it's a daunting thing. You're like, holy shit, I've just lost my legs, I can't walk anymore. Like, that's an extreme example, but they've not been doing something for so long. Now telling them to do something like, oh my God, but that's an hour out of my day, that's this, that's that. The main thing I think is finding something they enjoy, because people have this notion where fitness is going to the gym 7 days a week, like say eating chicken, rice and broccoli all day, not eating certain food groups. That's the kind of notion where they think we have to run 4 hours a day, and I'm like, you don't. Just find something you enjoy. And the easy way to think is if you've sustained a weight for X amount of time, one of the most powerful things I think is just walking. Walking an extra 1,000 steps a day, or buying a Fitbit. Something where people think you've got to go to the gym, you don't. If you enjoy walking, go do 20,000 steps a day and come back at the end of the week, you've done almost 150,000 steps. It's going to make a huge difference. And ultimately, if they enjoy it, they're going to stick to it long term, because they're going to be in it for the long game. No one does fitness for a week and ultimately looks good for it. People who look good or look in shape or feel good or feel in shape, they've been doing something for a long time. Like, they've been doing it for like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, their whole life. So once you find something you enjoy, that's really when you're going to see that like compounding interest. You're going to do something small each day, whether it's meal prepping to control your calories, whether it's walking a little bit more, not taking the mat, walking to work, something where they either bring the calories down and or take the expenditure up. Once that compounds day after day, month after month, that's really where I always see the magic happen. When someone adds in just something small, find something they enjoy, that's when the big picture is really going to come into it.
And I mean, like you're saying, I think that's a big thing that people don't think about. The misconception is like fitness is me going to the gym for 7 days a week. And it's like, that's not necessarily what it is. Like for me back in Colorado, like a lot of it was in the summers, I'm going hiking on the weekends. Like I'm also maybe like rock climbing or doing other activities like playing basketball because it's nice out rather than just sitting in a gym all day, like lifting weights. For you, I know it's a lot of like wrestling, like in season, the way Drew gets best in shape is he's going to practice 5 days a week. It's like or like even at tournaments, like warming up with kids, and like it's a like not stopping or finding things that you enjoy doing that are active. Because if, like you're saying, if you hate chicken and rice, like you can't force yourself to eat chicken and rice, like unless you've actually had to starve yourself or put yourself in a situation where you need to. But you can't just define fitness as one thing. Like it's not just, okay, I pick up this heavy weight and I put it down. It's what, like you're saying, what's sustainable, what's repeatable, what do you enjoy doing? Because if it's not, I don't work out for a month and then I'm fit for the rest of my life. It's a little bit every day, consistently over a long period of time before you get results.
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of, and that's kind of one of my gripes about like the business world. It's like you go, we're going to send you to a leadership conference and you're going to be there for 3 days and you're going to come back a leader. It's like, no, like you don't develop those skills in 3 days, just like you don't get a 6-pack overnight. It's like, it's consistency and doing things that you believe are working and the things that you enjoy doing over and over again to get the results you want.
Yeah.
So, Drew, any last thoughts, closing thoughts? Episode 1?
Fat shaming, do it, you know? We're against.
I don't do that.
No, I do it though. I do it to my
Drew does it
friends.
to his friends.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I don't know, dude, make a change, Matt. All right,
But
I expect the same.
Whatever's going on here, Matt, just take this. Just be different.
Hey,
change it.
change it. Stillwater, Oklahoma, change.
Poughkeepsie, New York.
Change. Awesome. Well, Jake, thanks
Jake,
for
where
being
can we
on.
find you on?
Yeah, social media. What do you got?
What do you want to plug right now? I like that they do that.
Yeah,
Because we got we got that.
Where can they find you?
We got that big following. You know, this podcast might get 50, maybe get 100.
15 to 20.
I mean, you do have 100,000 subs on YouTube.
Yeah,
So I mean,
that's true.
Logan Paul Walker.
17.5 million subs. That's what's up. JTaylor.fit on Instagram, Jake Taylor Fitness on Facebook. Where you can find me.
Subscribe to his email list.
You can find me on Tinder probably. Find me. If you're 81, you won't find me though. You won't find me.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool.
Cool.
Awesome, guys. Sweet.
Hey! It's me to Taco Bell.
Awesome one.
There's 2 types of people in this.
Dude.